Coach, after the game Saturday night, you were pleased with the aggressiveness of the defense. After you watched the film, were you still pleased with the aggressiveness? And what about the technique, the fundamentals, and how they executed?
Well, Chuck, after every contest and even after every play, there's always something to coach in terms of technique and fundamentals. And that's one area where you continue to have to improve because in those critical moments in the contest, I mean, that's what they're going to revert back to. How well do they train themselves to be technique and fundamentally sound? But we were pleased with it, but there's still some work to do in that area. In terms of being aggressive, I really was pleased with the way the guys came out early in the ball game and set their cleats, set their eyes, and played forward and played aggressive. And we talked about all week, it's a must for us to go out and start fast and be aggressive and not let the offense get comfortable. And I thought the guys did a tremendous job of going out and doing that and played fast and then going in at halftime and coming back out the second half and continuing it. And it was good to see them play that way the entire day on Saturday.
Once C.J. Miller gets healthy, where do you see that that position battle now that Armani's come in and had the performance they did this past weekend?
Well, it's really not a position battle with all the injuries, and we have to play everybody, at that spot. But we're hoping that C.J. progress fast and get back on the grass real quick. But if not, then Armani just got to pick up the load. Having coming over from offensive recently, we would prefer not him to play 80 snaps a game, talking about Armani. So having him and CJ to, partner up in that position will be great. So we'll just have to see how well CJ progress, and if we're able to have him this weekend, and if not, we'll have plan B. The guy that came in and did a good job for us at safety is Miles Hartsville. I mean, he's so versatile. He can come in and play dime, play corner, play safety. So we'll get a number of guys ready to play in that position, not only because CJ is out, but because the numbers are really thin, and we have to make sure we have a good plan B going into a game, particularly SEC game on the road.
It looked like of your four linebackers, some of the Mikes actually played outside backer, some will backer. Was that by design, or is that just the way they lined up on Saturday?
A necessity. You'll see Momo, who is a really smart football player, understands the entire scheme, communicates well, can set the table. He'll be the first guy that we'll move out to money back if need a player out there. And also, you take Dante Evans, who gave us a spark in the arm this past Saturday. He can play both positions, both Mike and money positions. So when you see those guys moving those positions, it's not by a mistake. We line those guys there because, we're trying to get the right guys on the field. And what we try our best not to do is put two freshmen out there at the same time. And so that causes us sometimes to have to play a Mike linebacker at the money position. And we'll keep mixing and matching them up until we get the right fix. Say it again now. I can't hear you. Oh yeah, 10. Yeah, well now if he lines up at money, that's probably wrong because we try to keep him at Mike linebacker, so he should be lined up at the Mike position. So if you ever see him line up in the money spot, then he's probably lined up wrong, or the offense has made a shift and we didn't mix the backers. And I'm sure Coach Summerall will pay attention to that and get that corrected right away.
Wesley, just your general thoughts on the Arkansas offense that kind of seemed like it maybe is starting to find itself.
Well, I'll tell you, you look at their offense, and they have two good quarterbacks. They've been playing both guys, and we have to be prepared for both. We're going to see probably the most motion and movement we've seen all year. They're going to be very multiple in terms of their formation. I think they've run every run play from the counter to power to split zone. So we'll get a variety of run games, both gap and zone scheme. The formations are going to vary. You get unbalanced. You get trips into the boundary. It's going to be a football game where they're going to really test our rules. It's going to be a football game where we really got to have solid eye discipline pre-snap. They're trying to find the comfort zone in their offense and what they can do best, and I think their most successes come when they run the ball from just looking at them early on. But we certainly have to be prepared for multiple attack, both on the ground and in the air, and be ready for both quarterbacks. I'll tell you the one thing they do really well is they really get involved at tight end and running back in the passing game. And so we got to make certain that we stay connected to the tight end and running back and not, just pay all our attention to the perimeter receivers because they do spread their targets around with the football.
Y'all kept Tylen's kind of package simple his first week getting in after looking at film and stuff. Do you feel like he's ready to kind of maybe expand that this week and add a little more to what he can do?
No, we won't expand much more. I mean, the goal is to make sure these guys play fast, including Tyler Knight, and he did a good job coming in. And so we won't expand the package anymore. We may add one pressure, but we won't go north of that because it's not a matter of what you run, it's how fast they can run it and what they can do. So he played great, and that was his first game. So, no, we're not going to expand the package at all.
What has Dante Evans done that's differently to help him kind of rise up the depth chart and get an opportunity?
Well, I'll tell you the one thing that he's really done a great job all year. He has not been in the rotation, and his attitude and his work ethic has been phenomenal. He was down on the look team, but he would always come, over in the defensive meetings. He would always stay focused and did a good job in the classroom. And then we had the suspension of Ruggs the first half, and we said, well, let's get him going. Well, it didn't take long to get him going because he stayed connected. He did a tremendous job at that himself. And, we talked about him this morning. He came in and gave us a spark, and we got to keep him game ready, because with injuries have been a violent game, and we're going on the road now, another SEC game. Probably face a lot of run in this ball game. Dante Evans may have to help us, so we'll have him ready. But give him all the credit. That young man did an outstanding job. Sometimes guys are not in the rotation and not playing, and they pout. They don't prepare themselves. But he did a tremendous job of preparing himself. So, I mean, my hat's off to him. A lot of respect for him for doing that.